And ladies and gentlemen, this is a 2018 McLaren 720S, and today I'm going to show you why this is one of the most timeless supercars that has ever been built. So I guess we need to start this video with a brief history lesson of this gorgeous car. It came out in 2017, meaning this car has been out for nearly 5 years at the time of recording. And this car exactly is about 3 or 4 years since the time of recording this video. And well, how good does this thing look? Well, we'll start with the gorgeous sweeping design of the 720S. Instead of having big flying buttresses right here, you've instead got lines, big old air lines that traverse all the way across the car, all the way to the engine back here. A 4-liter twin turbo V8 that produces 710 horsepower and 568 pound-feet of torque. That means this car is good for a 0 to 60 of 2.8 seconds, though some say that that is a slightly underrated number and it can actually do along the lines of 2.5, all while looking this good. The car that preceded this car, the McLaren 650S, was more or less a practice of functionality over design. And while this car is the happy middle. Obviously, with those specs that I've just told you, this is a massive improvement over the 650S. And while they were able to put all of that intricate design all into a gorgeous series of flowing lines, a big old package that delivers you from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, but could just as well be put in an art museum. And while there are so many other reasons why this car is a timeless masterpiece, so join me as I bring you on a full in-depth tour on the McLaren 720S. And before we begin the video, I need to give a massive thank you to McLaren Philadelphia for making this video possible. This particular McLaren 720S is on sale right now on their website for $323,435. If you're interested, go ahead and inquire on their website below. And while you're at it, please do go check out their Instagram. They take some amazing photos on there. Go ahead and check their Instagram at McLaren PHL. And so we're going to start the video by talking about the functionality aspect of this McLaren's design. The first thing that you notice is all the holes in front right here. So this headlight right here, you've got an air intake right there, an air intake right there. So really, this headlight is actually split in two, with this split going right through in the middle. Right here, you again have another air intake there, one on the side yet again, and you can see on the hood as well, more air intakes. And onto the sides, you can see there is even more air intakes everywhere you look, and air passageways, such as right here. The entire side of this door is actually hollow. You can see I can stick my hand all the way down here where there's an air intake there. You go ahead and follow this down even more, and you see all of this air is led right to the engine right there, the 4-liter twin turbo V8. And at the rear, you can see that smooth design is continued yet again. You have the smooth lines that goes all the way across right here, which is actually a rear wing, which we'll show you in a second. As well as the taillights, you can see it all follows a smooth line. It ends right about right there, and then it continues on to this middle part. And well, what surprises me a lot about this car is just how modest the little tailpipes are. You only have 2 tailpipes. They're kind of right in the middle, right behind the engine. You would expect a good old series of 4 tailpipes like the 765 LT does, but for this, McLaren has decided to keep it to 2, and it just adds to that very simple design that just flows and looks so beautifully nice. And while we're on the subject of the tailpipes, I guess we should let you take a listen at a cold start and how this car sounds when you give it a little tap on the throttle. Now, a few more things before we go on to the interior of the 720S. The first thing that we need to say here is the 720S badge right there. It just looks really nice, especially when you compare it to the gorgeous bronze wheels that you have on there. Now, they are aftermarket, but I really think that it suits the Memphis red that you have on this car. Now, right behind these rims, you can see the absolutely massive carbon ceramic brakes right here, and the just as equally nice red brake calipers that you have on the front rims. And lastly, we need to talk about how you get in the frunk of the 720S. Now there's a few ways. You can press the button in the interior, which we'll show you in a second here, or you can use the key. You can see that the key's been relatively used, but you go ahead and press that bottom button and see that opens right up. So unlike most cars in this category, there's not a little latch that you need to go fetch around here. Once you've opened it, all you need to do is just open it, and the first thing you notice is just how light it is. And once you've opened up the rather bizarrely light front hood here, you can see this has a massive front storage area. This is really, really big. This compares to the trunk size of my Mazda Miata, which we know is quite large. For a car of this size, this almost beats it, which is really impressive. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is this kind of weird hole that you have going on here. And while it doesn't make a whole lot of sense while you have the hood up, you go ahead and bring the hood down and you can see you have these two air vents right there. So what they do is they feed air right into this. You can see you have these little passageways. The air goes through there, down this hole right into there where it gets filtered, and it gets shot right into the cabin. And so we're going to move to the interior of the car here, but before we can do that, we need to figure out how we get in the car, or more specifically, how do we unlock it? So the first thing that you do is you press the big McLaren logo right there. You can see the lights kind of turn on. The windows go down right here in preparation for the door to be open. Now what you go ahead and do is you go right here, right to the side, and you can see there's like a little button right there. It might be a bit hard to see on camera, but you go ahead and give that a little press, and it opens right up. And once you've gotten the door open, getting in seems like a relatively easy procedure. This right here makes it really easy for tall people to go right in. However, this area right here is a lot wider than you think it is. It's a lot harder of an effort to go ahead and get in. However, go ahead and close this, and voila. And now welcome to the interior of the McLaren 720S Performance. And the first thing you notice are the materials that are in here. Your seats are made out of leather and Alcantara. You have big old leather going all in the middle right here. You've got leather with red stitching going across the middle. You've got carbon fiber accents everywhere, including on your A-pillars, your steering wheel. And you've got two screens, which are really interesting. Now, when I say the screens in the 720S are interesting, I really do mean it. So right here, this is your rather boring screen. It's your regular touchscreen right here. It's fairly responsive, and we'll go over its customizability in a second. But what I really want to talk about is your tachometer right here. So right now, we have all of our settings set to comfort. So I'm going to go ahead and press active. You can see it kind of changes to a regular nice mode. I go ahead and go to sport. Press active. You see right there it changes to where what gear you're in is now the priority. Your revs are on the side. Your miles per hour kind of gets sidelined. What's more impressive, you go ahead and switch it to T for track, and the screen folds down. Now McLaren knows that when you're on a track, you only want to see what you need to see, and that is going to be what gear you're in, what rev level you're at, and what mile per hour you're at, and that's all you need, and that's why the screen folds down just like that. However, if that doesn't suit your fancy, there's a button right here on the driver's side. You go ahead and give it a little press. It whirs right open just like that, and you can see you are in, again, a track mode just now in full screen. And so moving right below the screen, we need to talk about the wheel. Now this wheel is one of the most basic ones that I've seen in a car. There's no buttons anywhere. If you look at Ferraris of the likes, you have drive mode selectors right here. You've got all sorts of presets right here, but in the McLaren, all you have is this gorgeous carbon fiber on the inside, which is also shared on your A-pillar right there and on your little controls on the door itself. However, there is one button on the wheel itself, and that is right here, your paddles. Now, this is a rather weird paddle system going on. It took me a second to kind of get used to it. So, obviously, this is your upshift, but you'll notice that this, the downshift, moves up as well. And it's the same thing when I downshift, this also moves up. It's all kind of one piece that works together in one big motion. So, realistically, if you wanted to upshift using your down, all you need to do is go up like that, and you've upshifted. So you can manually shift your gears with only one hand. So this car is great if you only have one arm. Now this car has a setting where you can go ahead and lift the nose up. It's about a $2,000 option. So I'm going to go ahead and again start the car here because you can only do it when the car starts. I'm going to go ahead and press the button right there, and you should be able to see the car move up ever so slightly. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it down here. Just like that. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about the center console area. And more specifically, we are going to start right here with your gear selector. So right here is your drive. You go ahead and press the brakes, press drive, and it will go into drive. You go ahead and press neutral by pressing N, and reverse right there. You just go ahead and press them down just like so. Right below that, you have your hazard triangle right there, and my personal favorite, launch control. Now behind those gear selectors, you have this little pocket where you have a cigarette outlet right there and one of two cup holders. That's right. This car has cup holders, and not only does it just have one, it has two. The second one is right here. It's really nice and easy if you're a passenger on the driver's side. You can just go ahead and take it. It's one of the easier cup holders to go ahead and take out of. Right behind that, you have your center console, which is actually quite difficult to kind of work with. So your button is right here. You got to give it a press and it opens. It's a really weird operation that really doesn't feel right. But once you've done that, you have your two USBs. This one that will control your phone. Now this car does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but it will still play your music via Bluetooth or via cord. And now onto the screen of the McLaren 720S. And well, it would be a sin for me to not talk about the variable drift control button first, so that's exactly what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to go ahead and press that on. And in order for it to be on, you need to have all of these set to track and track, and you need to turn off your ESC, which you can tell that you do by going right there. Now, how you go ahead and customize that is you go ahead and press this button right here, and this determines just how much drift you want or how little traction you want. So right here, this is lots of drift, muy drift. However, if you go down right here, this is not so much drift. You can probably have a good time with those settings, or if you're a pro or Jeremy Clarkson, you can set it to right there, full drift. Now, besides the variable drift control, there are some other things that we need to talk about. Now, I won't mention the phone, media, radio buttons because, well, I figured that those are pretty obvious for you, but what we do need to talk about is the rear view camera, because once you look at it, you can see the resolution is surprisingly high. Despite it taking, a third of the screen, it looks really, really good. However, if you go ahead and look below, you can see you have climate buttons right there, and that's because you have no climate control buttons, physical buttons in the interior. It's all done in the screen. So you go ahead and press the little fan icon right there, and you can customize where your air goes all in screen. So here it would go to your windshield, your legs, your face. I love that there's a little helmet on the guy here because McLaren knows that people buying these will be racing them. Obviously, you have your fan speed right here. You can go ahead and control what temperature you like it, either by going by little taps like this, or do as I recommend, actually go and scroll through. Once you're done with that, you can see you have all sorts of various buttons all throughout here, as you would expect on your climate control settings. Now we need to talk interior storage. Now I did already mention that you have this little cubby right here where you can maybe fit a phone right there or something like that, but McLaren has given you two other spaces. So right here you have a little net, of course, for weight savings. You can put some stuff back here, but the main attraction for storage besides your frunk is right here. You have this little shelf back there. You can fit maybe a briefcase. It's not super tall. This is my hand here for reference. There's not a whole lot of space, but you can go ahead and fit maybe a little briefcase back there, but definitely not a suitcase. And eventually there comes a time when you need to get out of the 720S. Now, while I do admit it's a tragic event, you will need to do it at some point. And how you do that is you press this little kind of lever right there. You kind of hold it and then you give it a yank. It's a rather heavy door, but your reward for lifting that heavy door is a gorgeous 720S badge right on the side there. And once you've gotten the door open, you can see a bit of that carbon fiber tub that shows. Now this car is made completely out of a carbon fiber tub, and you can see you've got that carbon fiber surrounding right here, and of course you have that carbon fiber that goes across the interior. Now if you're willing to spend $60,000 in carbon fiber equipment, you can get nearly everything on this car carbon fiber. Your front fascia, rear diffusers, you name it, it can be carbon fiber. This car wasn't equipped that far. I actually think it's rather tasteful how this one was spec'd, but you can go ahead and see that carbon fiber tub right there. Now I mentioned at the start of the video that there was a way to open the frunk in the interior of the car, and that button is right here. It's actually really easy. You just go ahead and give it a little press and it opens right up. It gives you a little warning right there letting you know that it's not latched. It's one of the easier to reach buttons in comparison to most cars, which kind of cram them all the way under here. But the reason that they're not crammed all the way under there is because you have your headlight selectors right here if you want to have, say, your high beams, your lights on or on auto, how you would like them, and you have your parking brake right there. Now, what happens if you're sitting inside your McLaren 720S and your battery dies? Well, for starters, you can't open your door. It's an electronically powered door. You cannot open the door, given that it's a little button on the door itself. Well, how do you get out? McLaren has thought of that. You have this little kind of strap right there. You just give it a little yank, you unbutton it, and voila, the door opens right up. You are free. And ladies and gentlemen, that was your tour of the McLaren 720S performance. And well, I can't think of enough good things to say about this car. This car is an example of art in automotive design, and I really think that this is one of the best looking cars that you can buy, even after being on sale for 5 years. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. That was Alex Automotive. And ladies and gentlemen, this is my cameraman. His name is Prabhat Nalamili, and he's the one who makes all of these videos possible. So of course, a massive thank you.